Open Class Doodles, episode 49. I brought you an own doodle and some incredible information. Tactical doodles for success is all going to be around our filmmaking business, the topics revolving around Hollywood, like so often we do when we're, analyzing the present, because our Thursday episode, welcome everybody, like always, is about, the current state of affair, especially, looking towards Tinseltown. This is an acting studio, the COACHMC studio for actors, for performers, for entertainers. So definitely by the nature of our endeavor, we tend to look, over to Hollywood, and we covered many topics from the strike to pandemic to, the new pilot season format to how the business is changing and shaping, because ultimately, that impacts us all. And therefore, let's take a closer look what the industry mecca is doing right now, what Tinseltown is doing, what the implications are for us actors. So videos like this are also helping, maybe new guns in the game to position themselves, think about their choices, where to move, how to act, which city to kind of choose for their headquarters, how they want to, delegate their operations, but also for the seasoned actors and entertainers, like how is the market evolving? We will take definitely also a look into the future and see what current investments are doing, where people are positioning themselves, where the heavy players, the masters of our respective field, are kind of going, what they're doing. Never listen to what they say, but pay close attention to what they do. So without any further ado, let's jump in today's Open Class Doodles. Episode 49. I mean, this is, quite a little interesting number right there, right? We're hitting episode 50 next week, so I'm truly excited about that as well. And yeah, let's see what's cooking. Yeah, back in the days, right? The glorious days of Hollywood, everybody moved to LA. It was an exciting feeling to live in California, to be part of that thriving acting community, to experiment, right? To go to acting schools, to see the stars, kind of just walking around there, partying with them on Sunset Boulevard and hanging out on Melrose Avenue during the day, working out in Hollywood's gyms and kind of, connecting to the industry. I mean, it was very, very exciting times, right? It seems so far away. It's incredible. We produced hits. Everybody was thriving. We had a lot of fun in the city. It was good. Of course, we were experiencing problems in LA. We were experiencing, kind of difficulties, and many, many things kind of, over time happened that kind of changed the ecosystem, the environment and everything. But overall, things were actually going pretty well. And then, I don't know. We always say this on the channel, right? There are oscillations in culture. There's definitely always, dynamic in any, we're human beings. We're changing. We're kind of, our opinions, our inclinations. And so therefore you have quality fluctuations, and this is happening right now. This is what Hollywood is experiencing. We had COVID, we had the strikes, we had almost another strike, we had AI implementation, we had all sorts of new paradigms, rules, and directions that had to be implemented, minorities, DEI hires, all that stuff, right? So therefore, a lot has happened, and we're taking a look now on how it's going, because in the present time, we need to understand how we position ourselves, especially when we are in this business, understanding how, our cornerstone is moving, how our pinnacle is shining, right? And if it's not really shining, then we have to take care of ourselves and shine even brighter for ourselves, and knowing what to do with this life, with our creativity, because there are many other ways of expressing our creative life and monetizing our talents and still kind of, thriving and not just surviving, right? While you have to hustle all the time. But let me just say hello to everybody present today. Mephisto X, right? Just love this name. It's really cool to have you here. Thanks so much. We already kind of started chatting and warming up like always. Hope you can hear me well, guys. So here we have Rosita. Hey, coach. Charlie Nuclear's in the house, right? Emanating energy, right? Radioactive transmission, frequency and resonance. This is what the COACHMC studio is all about, kind of resonating with each other. This is the creative community coming together, exchanging news, looking at politics, looking at life, looking at arts, at communication, and, kind of having good conversations. Good conversations, I mean, that's the basis for deeper thoughts, for more reflection And yeah, just going somewhere else with your mind, traveling a little bit and just kind of tapping into various field of knowledge, always healthy, always helpful, right? And so therefore, thanks so much for stopping by. Also the Winsinger, aka El Otaku, aka the Wee Pillar, Super Amigos, and not surprised filmmakers are leaving Hollywood. Right, Mephisto, I was disheartened to learn that people in the chat were upset over your assessment of the situation during Saturday Night Hypnosis, but I really enjoyed it. SNH, oh yeah, I know what you mean. Well, yeah, I mean, how the story is right now evolving, or first of all, I totally understand. I mean, this is the, the reaction of the reptilian center. We have this oldest stem in our brain, the oldest layer of development, the first layer to really develop, right? The reptilian center that is responsible for our fight or flight type of reaction. And so this is how we process information still today in the digital age, right? If information comes across as being threatening, and that's also might be, in the way I express it, and the emotional intonation and all that might be also kind of a reason for it. But nonetheless, if the reptilian center kind of assesses an information to be aggressive or threatening or somehow kind of decomposing its belief system, right, or kind of upsetting the status quo and flipping those belief systems, right, it's always the reaction is always like strong response and counter responding to it, defending what you think is your mental property, where it's all an illusion, right? Information, what we're doing right now, just an illusion, right? We don't really exist. It's just 0.1%. So let's all relax. I mean, it's just speculation, and we should be able to go there, right, with our mind. This is what we do over here and on SNH as well. I love the guys. I know exactly, like, just we are this way, right? Sometimes we fight, sometimes we go in different ways. I think it's also a reason why the show is so good in its way, because it's authentic. We're really sometimes just arguing, right, and just defending or kind of exchanging and seeing where this whole topic takes us ultimately, because it's always interesting. Like I said, conversations, right? It's conversation. There are no good or bad events. They're just events, right? We notice them and kind of deduct and reflect, and then maybe we implement. If we're happy and lucky, we're implementing. But thanks, man. Thanks for the thumbs up. I disagreed with your take, but you did make me pause for thought at times. Yes, I mean, that's it. That's beautiful also that you're mentioning it. It's all about that, right? And I was saying, I was just evaluating, based on what I think the options are, right? I'm not just believing something or saying this is the truth, right? It's just what I think is the most probable, option here. And then usually I have 3 options, right? And so I'm the most, and so I'm taking a guess from there, and then let's see. This is where the mind of a creator should also go, right? An artist should be, what's up, Raven Wolf? An artist should be allowed to do that. It's actually his duty. An artist should go there, speculate, going back, going in another direction, never encrusting with an argument too much, never defending it because all of a sudden you kind of believe that it's your property, and therefore kind of allowing your ego to play tricks on you. And then you're getting too subjective, right? But you should definitely, as a thought experiment, an artist, that's his duty. That otherwise, what type of artist are you? You should go in all directions, come back, evaluate another one, go there, experiment there, come back, assess what you've learned, and then you use, right? And then you use. Also, COACHMC, to be honest with you, I'm fine with that, despite that I'm all for decentralization. Yeah, me too. I love decentralized systems. Absolutely, Charlie Nukia. Let's jump into today's topic, guys. It's really interesting stuff. I can't even. I mean, we're looking. You can check out the videos here on the COACHMC studio, and this is not just to bash these people or anything. I'm part of that industry. But this industry should work in a healthy way, and I'm seeing a lot of stuff being commanded, from the pinnacle down to the pyramid, right? And to a certain extent, this is the necessity of any big system. Otherwise, it's really hard. But now we're learning that these decentralized systems, like artists do work this way for their entire life, right? You have a core attitude as an artist, right? There's this thing called the T-shaped employee, right? So you have something you're really good at, you're great at, that's your vertical column. And then you have a horizontal column that is placed on top of that vertical column. And that horizontal column is filled with completely different, talents and disciplines and skills, right? They're dramatically different from each other. You could be great and, at math and also be like a puppeteer in a little theater and doing all sorts of crazy different, practicing different hobbies and all that. So you have something you're genius at. That's one quality. And then you have many other qualities where you're pretty good at. And so when you combine that, you have the perfect T-shaped employee. And in today's time, you have to be there. Like in this profile, you have to match that profile in order to be an entrepreneur, in order to make digital money, in order to get around, to reinvent your life. Of course, the old traditional way of doing things is long gone, but filmmaking industry is such an important part of our imaginarium, of our culture, of our beliefs, right? Of things that we need to experience sometimes. It might sound silly, but for many hundreds of years, right? Almost, right? 200, like we're maybe 300 years where actually, if you think about it, pictures, right? In those caverns, on those ancient monuments, engraved and then chiseled in rock, wherever you go, all these pictures, all these movies we've been seeing, giving the stars, constellations, shapes and forms. We were always imagining pictures, moving pictures. We were always entertaining the masses with showing our talents and telling ancient stories of heroes and demons and all that. So it is an important part of our culture. And I'm seeing many times here during our Thursday episode of Open Class Doodles, right? I'm seeing the development. And so I just want to help also creators to position themselves, understanding, yeah, that's just normal. It's not a way, we're not doing this to bash them, to judge them. We're part of this. It's a way to understand where the stream of creativity and of liquidity also is just going. And then, bada boom, position ourselves along the stream, making smart choices, being an active member of this industry, understanding how you can participate and what is needed, right? That's why we're doing these shows. So let's take a look at my doodle today that I've prepared for you guys. So this is currently, this is one of the biggest problems that Hollywood has to face. And we're not necessarily today talking about, the writing, the agendas and all that. We're going to take a look at secondary and other reasons as well. But like based on stats and numbers, how things are moving, because also the numbers from Film LA have been released about, what currently has been shot in Hollywood. So let's take a look at this. California has one huge general problem. It's not like Hollywood is, of course, LA is, based in the state of California. And so in California, we have big amounts of money that are going into a tax system that is hyper bureaucratic and not really efficient. And so that is like generally one big issue. Catering has become a real deal breaker sometimes, right? In negotiations with studios, because it has become truly expensive based on that. Because, we have an inflationary economy, we have high state taxes, transport has become very much more expensive. So catering, the quality of catering, it's just has become truly like an important cost factor. Transports in LA or in California in general. Parking, safety, when you are, handling cars and guns at the same time. All these state regulations that are in place there have become increasingly difficult to tackle, way more expensive. And in order to get those permits, it has become like super complicated over time. Of course, legitimately so. But the system is just blown up disproportionately. There is... If you think that shooting a motion picture is all right, I got a script, I got the stars, I got a studio lot that I rent, I need some special effect guys maybe and a couple of practical props and settings, and then I can pretty much shoot that thing. Well, that's one of the major cost points. But another major cost point is getting these actors there, getting all this stuff there, transporting all this material, getting from A to Z, picking actors up in the morning, driving out to the shooting locations when it's like an external shot, maybe the necessity of, shooting something in a car itself. All these costs related to transportation have increased immensely in the last 5 years in the state of California. We have also in the catering sector, things are way more complicated to supply chain problems that have also been developed due to the pandemic, huge layoffs in that industrial sector that haven't been really kind of, really reinforced over the years. So transport of catering itself, of food, of bringing everything to the right place has become increasingly expensive. Let me see here. I have to come to believe due to my own life experiences that most creators lean heavily towards the left. Would you consider this true to your own experiences? So this is a very interesting point. I believe there is this saying, this proverb, right? That it goes something like this. If you are young and you're not a communist, then you are a fool. If you are old and you are still a communist, then you are a fool. And I think the proverb likes to tell us something very meaningful, something very deep, even though it's so easy. I think there is a time for everything that you should experiment in your life. And you should be an activist for a certain period. In your life, you should stand for something, even if that turns out to be later like a scam or something false or something where you distance yourself from, over time. Let's say you're a white guy or somewhere, and then you're for, Black Lives Matters, and then you find out what we all found out, right? And then you distance yourself from the movement. I just randomly picked this right now. It's really no pun intended in any direction. This is what came to my mind, right? So you should be an activist. You should be a communist. You should be a socialist. You should be even a fascist for a certain period of your life. I'm not saying you should be violent or anything like that, but you have to go through these processes of question the status quo, the system, of saying, no, I have to fight for something more meaningful, deeper, and embrace those idealistic thoughts. I think that's all fine and dandy. But when you overspend your time of your activism, then that's the only thing that you will become over time, right? Because it will consume you. Then everything will be just driven by that. And you narrow down and you narrow down and you narrow down your field of view, of understanding, your creative view as well. And that, of course, leads to a catastrophe, right? Because you will be immensely unhappy and unsatisfied, and that will just mount up over time and then kind of, release. So yes, I think it is true that artists, when they start, they have this, and I went through the same stage. I had a beautiful atelier with some other artists in this old building where they used to kind of refurbish locomotives for train usage and cargo usage. So in this old steel factory, right, it was beautiful living there. We had no really like fresh water all the time, and it was kind of disastrous sanitized condition, but otherwise it was a fabulous experience. And this community living, I mean, definitely kind of enhanced everything, right? My artistic field and my capabilities. Would I still live this way? No. Of course not, right? I'm way too grounded now and too bourgeois, and it's okay, right? It's okay to return to something that is a bit more conservative and traditional. So we have to go through the spectrums of life. You can't just stick with one spectrum. Otherwise, that's mental. You're creating a monoculture, and that mental cerebral monoculture, that will desertify your thinking. It will dry out your perception and your instincts, and therefore it will turn you into an extremist over time, because that's the only thing you're holding on to. And that's a very dangerous path to go down for an artist. And we're seeing, Jack Black, bada boom, bada bum, what happens to you when you do that. And this is also a reason why filmmakers are leaving Hollywood. But we're talking about that a bit later. If that answers your question. Hey, Serena, what's up? Mephisto says, the Hollywood industry is an industry unto itself. Yeah, it's Tinseltown in itself is an industry in itself. For sure. I mean, it has its own set of rules, and that's okay. I've lived in Berlin. I've worked a little bit in London. I've worked a little bit in Melbourne, in Rome, in New York, in LA, of course. And now I'm here in Miami. So, yeah, all these cities have their own set of rules. That's okay. You know, you adapt to that. That's also, I think, what's so fascinating about moving to these, you know, to these clusters, to these agglomerates of creativity. And don't feel so entitled, right? As an artist, because I felt this way. It's like, oh, now I'm coming to this town, but you know, where are my fans, right? And nobody was there. It's like, right? And that's okay. You have to work yourself up, right? All this lazy entitlement that I see today makes me really, I mean, it makes me angry. Mephisto. Look at Mephisto. A brief example. When I was 20, back in 1990, wow, I fought against labeling people, right? And look where we are with pronouns. Just for starters, fought against this. Yeah, absolutely. I was an Antifa member when I was 22, 21. Not really member of Antifa, but yeah, definitely also before. I was in Germany back then. There was something called the 1st of May. Like it was the day of labor, and also in Italy, usually that's the day where the left fights against police. And I was in a couple of those, you know, cluster, you know, demonstrations, not really fighting or anything, not even violent. We were just protesting, right? My mom was also helping workers. You know, she was like a union facilitator and communicator for Italian immigrants in Germany. So I was always in that, you know, in that environment, in that left-leaning Antifa, also, you know, union syndicate type of environment. Yes, it's evil versus Jesus. I totally agree. Yes. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Sorry, I don't want to lose subscribers. Forgive me. Let's go back to the topic. Why are filmmakers leaving California? Now, we have some technical reasons here. Catering has become more expensive. Transport, like everything related to parking in LA is just, right, it's very difficult. As soon as you pull out guns, prop guns, you need an extra permit for that. You have to signal it, you know, just prop guns are being used. And there is a huge, kind of balloon around all the safety requirements. That's why, some of these pictures that include like heavy gun handling or something like that, they go to New Mexico, where they have a little bit more lax laws. And in itself, like traffic costs a lot of time in LA and California in general. So transportation has become truly expensive. Housing for the actors, for the production, but also for the actors themselves. Like I've experienced it. Like for 10 years, we've been working in LA extensively and heavily, and the prices have been just going up steadily in a crazy way. And still, you have to make your way through town. You have to, pay a lot for the parking spots. I mean, gas is hugely expensive. I mean, it has become like a major cost point for filmmakers, for actors to stay in LA. And also the fact that, over time, things have become more digital. And when COVID hit, things became completely digital in terms of, auditioning. And now we're having big chunks of the audition process transferred to the digital world. So there is no real pilot season anymore like it used to be. It was like Monday to Friday. But I mean, from January to April, May, there was pilot season in Hollywood. Like in LA, everybody came in from all over the place, right? To kind of, to be there for every single project and to get a pilot. That has somehow, kind of changed, right? Street fees, everything that is, again, on the road, everything that you have to block, it's truly expensive in LA. Then we have another reason that is absolutely crazy. California has passed this bill, I think it was in July 2020. It was the Filmmaking Incentive Act 3.0, something like that. And till 2025, they promised to install certain incentives over time, gradually increasing the money supply that would be kind of flow into the local LA film market and industry. And yes, that bill has been applied. The problem was that out of these $330 million, that is not much, right? If you think of all the money that's been gone somewhere, right, in billions of dollars in the last couple of years for all types of wars, $330 million to develop and to refurbish and to kind of, help, grow back local film industry in LA is not that much. And it has become increasingly difficult for the indie studios to get access to these grants. They make it really difficult now for all the requests that they have. Of course, also based on the DEI factor, but not only, it's just bureaucracy, and it has become also more expensive. These permits, they used to cover a set of locations. I think it's like 10 locations for a certain amount of days. Now it's 5. So they're reducing the days you are allowed to rent for a little bit more of the money. So they're increasing the price and diminishing the locations that you have. Otherwise, you just have to pay more. And all that led to, many of those productions that theoretically could have, get those grants. They weren't picked by California government. And so they are called the runaway projects. And in the last years, we've been seeing runaway projects worth of $951 million leaving the state of California. They're just like, we're out. That's it. Thank you, guys. But that's just not possible anymore. And so out of the 28 incentive programs that were started for, the 28 different participants that requested those grants, I think only 16 then ultimately, no, just 12 received it and 16 refused or didn't get them grant. And so they just left the state of California and took all their money with them and the projects into the state of Nevada, state of Texas, state of Georgia, and so on and so forth. There's another problem also. The land permits have become also like increasingly, expensive. You have way more tickets that you get. It's more difficult to park. You have less space, more fees, and overall, it has, it's just administration has become a bit more difficult to process. Overall, California, it seems like they're setting themselves up to make it as hard as possible for filmmakers to blossom there, because this is really what it looks like. Yes, Gary Gruesome. That's him. Exactly. Unfortunately, yeah, I mean, I'm not playing the political game. I mean, he's right now running this. And of course, for a couple of years before him, there was someone else. I mean, everybody is making mistakes, but the state of California, I mean, is the state that has most people leaving in the whole of the US. I think in between 21 and 22, almost 820,000 people left the state of California. I didn't mind the SNH assessment, said Cal himself, but he was a little too certain too soon. Yeah, I mean, it's just, love the coach though. Love you too, Cal. I mean, I know my chickens, right? Like I said, also during SNH, I mean, I'm studying this stuff for many, many years now. And yeah, my family has that military type of background. And I have a war hero in my family, which is my grandfather. My father was in the police force, and he was actually a rifle expert. My father was heavily relying on rifles, and also private eye. We're in that type of, and then of type of, ecosystem. When you grow up there, you get these ideas, you get all these insights, how they talk about it. And so looking at all this from the beginning kind of felt fishy for me, like knowing what they knew, and but also learn through kind of researching all the stuff that you can sometimes see over here at Three Sages in a Time Machine. So, but again, it's just speculation. Yes, Cal, absolutely. Atlanta is growing. We're going to talk about that a lot. Not only Atlanta, New Jersey, Florida, Louisiana, Nevada, Texas, they're all growing. People are moving out of California, moving there. There's another thing that I think that was Gary Newsom himself, like he installed this house tax when you resell houses that are north of $10 million. And he installed this new tax that made, a lot of his rich LA friends really, really furious. They got truly upset. A lot of celebrities left LA because of that house tax, because of course they were making money flipping these buildings, and that just got a lot of, when you touch their wallets, that's when they get sensitive. But I can understand that. I'm not judging here. I mean, if all of a sudden you raise taxes in such a ridiculous fashion and you don't see the service that the state should at least provide as a compensation for those high taxes, if you go to a state like, I don't know, Switzerland, you pay high taxes, right? But I mean, look at Switzerland. It's like a boutique. It's almost it's surreal, right? At everything, like even if you kind of travel through the countryside. I mean, it's a fair small country, but you travel through the countryside in those little villages, right? And you have those road hounds, you have those circle, driveways, right? Those roundabouts to kind of regulate traffic. They have a lot of those. And even like in the tiniest villages somewhere, like, far away from any bigger town, everything is perfectly cut and needy and super kind of, laid out. Roads are in almost perfect mint condition. It's almost too much. Like, plants everywhere, light. It's beautiful. It's like a boutique, right? So you pay a lot of taxes, but you get something in return that is truly remarkable, like a super safe, super clean country. And I think when you see that and you are so secure that the country is doing something for you, you don't mind, I guess, or, you mind less, I guess, paying those high taxes. But when you pay high taxes and crime is through the roof, immigration, what it is. We like I said, for 10 years. I mean, I love LA, right? Don't get me wrong. I really do. LA is a beautiful town. It has amazing qualities, like great. I love, many people that are living there. I just have many friends there. So creative people are beautiful wherever they are. I don't care, right? I could work with them, and I did literally everywhere on this planet. So LA is a fantastic town, but you have to admit it has become a super dirty city. They're cleaning up sometimes with the homeless, but ultimately they don't really have a response, a solution to the problem. Transportation now with the metro system is getting slightly better, but again, it's like this town has really a lot of things that it needs to clean up right now. Bureaucracy, administration, the immigrants, the crime rate, dirt all over, and it just lacks that feeling like that you're living in a city that likes you, right? The city doesn't really like you anymore. It feels like hostile ground sometimes. Of course, I'm slightly exaggerating, but you get my drift, right? It's very, very expensive town that makes it really hard for you to understand why it's so expensive. I guess in the end, this is what I like to say, and that in the end like pays a high factor with your quality of life, because as an actor, an entrepreneur, we work a lot for our companies. We're basically not stopping, right? Throughout the year, we have a couple of days, but this is like, we have to, travel, submit, go, and it's all fine and dandy, no problem. But at a certain point, you need some life quality, right? I know incredible extreme cases, like even close friends that are living a very, very hard life, like really hard life out there in LA. They're really struggling, really, really struggling. And it's not nice. I mean, I've been there too in other occasions early in my life. So I kind of can relate, but LA is really, if you don't have a lot of money right now, I mean, I really, how can you survive there? Jobs, employment, everything has become, has go down. Prices have go up, and the stress and the pressure is just, it's pretty high, right? It's difficult right now there, and this is also what is happening because people are moving out. They're going into other states and they're building up, stuff there. Like Mark Wahlberg is now, kind of. I think in the end of finishing his deal with Sony Pictures in Las Vegas, they're opening up a huge studio there. Nevada is going to start with $170 million, tax found system. To kind of attract more and more filmmakers to Nevada and to Vegas. Lionsgate is opening up a studio with another company in New Jersey. It's also north of $100 million what they're building. Down here in South Florida, we're experiencing it. They're building studios in Homestead. They just inaugurated a couple of studios here. Telemundo has built an enormous studio. Friends of mine that moved from Burbank to this town are opening facilities. So
these studios, they know why they're opening in other cities. And, you know, of course, also Atlanta has, of course, Tyler Perry, Stranger Things, and all that stuff going on down there. So they're not making these investments because they believe, oh, let's see, you know, they know exactly the crowd is moving there. Liquidity will go there. This is why we will be there welcoming them with the structures and the facilities they need, so they can spend the tax money that they're getting, right? Let me just share this with you guys. You know, pictures. An image, right, speaks sometimes way more than this guy. So we have a total of, you know, motion pictures, all you know, on stage location. Also, this is Film LA, July 17th. So the updates right now, this is second quarter 23, 24, and overall production is down on a 5-year average by 33%, which is quite substantial. And so we are at 5,749 productions compared to the first quarter of 2023, where we had over 7,400 productions. So that's, you know, that's quite steep in terms of diminishing returns. On-location production report, season analysis. So local on-location filming declined 12.4% year over year from April through June, attaining 5,749 shoot days, so 5,749 shoot days in the second quarter of 2024. Observed dips in feature film production down 3.3% to, wow, and commercial production is also down 5.1%. Both, you know, shooting days 817. Both looked minor when compared to a steep plunge in unsubscribed television production. Filming of reality TV fell 56.9% to 868 shooting days, taking the broader television category down 27.7% to 1,900 shooting days lower with it. That's quite steep. And remind you guys, reality is pretty much what Hollywood is producing that is really making money, because the streaming services, like we are covering, you know, pretty much throughout the week, and like we're seeing all over, right? Streaming services are losing a lot of subscribers. A lot of money is not there where it should be anymore. Theaters are losing money, and so these movies are tanking at the box office. You know, they're mostly flops, and now we're seeing that the shootings days are collapsing as well, of course, because they're with diminishing returns. They're not going to sit there and say, oh, why is that? Maybe, yeah, because of taxes, maybe because of transportation cost, housing, land permits, but also maybe, just maybe, because our stories suck. Just saying, maybe the stuff that we're producing is just not attracting anyone anymore. And we're losing relevance, attention, and awareness, and losing awareness, attention, and, you know, kind of, you know, the acknowledgement and the relevance for an entertainment industry complex is, I think, the worst scenario that could happen, right? Because that means that there is no general interest anymore. Because you've slandered your reputation, because you have destroyed your stories, because you have erased the IPs and their canons, because you have installed actors that are not capable of telling these great stories, because you've exchanged artists with activists, because you've introduced concepts that were enemies to the hero's journey, that made Hollywood the place it is today, right? That incarnation of the hero's journey principle, and of course told in different ways, that was the one thing that made Hollywood so big, and always returning to that happy end. And now, I'm not saying we should only produce stories like this. Of course, you know, experimentation, like we said in the beginning of this video, kind of changing the subject and trying to kind of look from, you know, different perspectives to all that is fine. All that is beautiful. That's great. But not if that's the only thing that now seems to be, or that is deemed to be appropriate in order to be a filmmaker. That is ludicrous, because now you're tyrannizing, you're cannibalizing, you're monopolizing the topic of the entertainment. And when doing that, you will just get a very, very narrow window of opportunity where you can actually show and liberate your creative potential now, because everything now is narrowed down, right? And that is the problem also that we're experiencing, definitely. Charlie Nuclear. I went to Vasquez Rock's natural area where Star Trek most famous episode, The Arena, was shot not long ago and loved it. Would not live there though. No. Do you mean The Arena? Is that the, with the reptilian guy and the old and Tiberius Kirk? Is that the episode I mean down there? It's a beautiful episode. Ravenwolf, Disney has lost money. This is what happens when DI is enforced. Yes, also because of that. Missouri loss, yes. They've lost their imagination, says Cal himself, to tell a good story because they have lost morals. The ability to tell a good story is derived from morality. Yeah. Yes. I mean, Star Trek was the perfect example. You have a brilliant show that you can run forever because it's based on a principle, on a core foundation that is timeless. The moral question. Is it right or is it wrong to interfere? When you are, from your stage of development, superior to the race or to the population, to the civilization that you are observing. Is it right or not? You can run this moral dilemma for eternity. That's so fucking genius. And look what they have done to it. They have twisted and corroded and corrupted and turned and torqued it so it's unrecognizable. It's a caricature, right? It's grotesque. It has become it's a grotesque show. It has become something bizarre. And and when people realize that, and many fans like us do realize that, say, hey, this is not okay. This is really not okay. Because you're messing with something that is at the principle of judgment, moral values, inner statutes, right? Your inner authority, your moral judge, your tribunal. We should need those instances inside of ourselves, right? And these people want to erase them, right? They want to tell us this is all wrong, this is all stuff from the past. You don't need that in a free love world where we're all the same. Yeah, but somehow you enjoy privileges that the others can because they're not sharing your belief system. So that tells me that we're not all together in this, right? So that tells me that you are kind of claiming a sense of exclusivity to your message, and therefore you're excluding the others and not including them. So your argument goes to pot. Jesus, of course, is the meta story. Call himself. Yes. It was so fun. Yeah, I mean, it's life experience. It's when I see these people nowadays, how they approach storytelling. Charlie Nuclear. I'd be lying if I said I didn't act like I've had a phaser that was in reality a stick. Oh, of course, we need that. We need to, when I attended drama school and I had the audition for drama school, they just gave me I think it was like a remote similar to this thing here. They just kind of gave me this remote and said, now imagine this is an object, whatever object that is. I want you to describe that object and just tell me why this object is important to you. This was part of, the audition process to get accepted to drama school. And so I imagined this, of course, being a microphone. And then I kind of started telling a story about being heard and bada bum, bada bum. I was a woke monster. No, but I was just, kind of transforming this in something else. And I reflected about why they gave me this assignment to enter the drama school, right? That was basically the last thing they wanted to see from me. And I thought about, and I talked about it because my mother brought me there that day. I was so nervous I couldn't even ride, I couldn't commute or ride the train or anything. I wasn't, and I had a driver's license back then. So my mom had to drive me out there. And on my way back home, I was reflecting about why they chose this exercise, this assignment, as the last one, and probably the most important, because they know this is the last thing that they will keep in their mind, right? Why is that they chose this so simple and mundane and like trivial assignment? Yeah, transform this into something else, right? Whatever it is, it must be important to you though. Because in the end, I thought that's actually genius, because the work of an actor in whatever circumstance is to transform any object, like Green Lantern, right? Kind of summoning up something that is not there. It's just a prop. It's an illusion. It's what you make out of it. It's your belief that makes it real. And that is something fundamental for the actor that he needs to learn. And that is something that unfortunately, I don't see anymore that often. When I see those even if they're considered good actors, like, you know, the new guns that are coming to the game, oh, these are great actors, but they're lacking that belief. They have some of it, but it's not there. They're not transforming the objects anymore, the environment. The perception is more shallow, and therefore it doesn't really resonate like it used to when I was looking into, I don't know, like Marlon Brando's eyes, De Niro's eyes when he was, you know, on top of his game and not mentally deranged like he's now, and all these greats, right? You were looking and they're really believing, really transforming the moment. Christopher Walken, you know, when Sean Penn was still sane, all these people, you could really like, wow, this is what an actor needs to do. And this is not present anymore. There is no transformation, no magic anymore, no transmutation of your inner, you know, kaleidoscope. Yes, absolutely. Mephisto. Even Batman stories have ongoing, you know, origins going back to ancient Greece. Of course, he's the owl. I mean, the owl is the enemy of the owl is the bat, and so already if you start there, it's amazing what you can find. Yeah, they're not great. You're right. Unfortunately, yeah. That's so sad that you kind of have to revise your inner, you know, opinions and beliefs about certain actors that you deemed to be great back then, right? And now they have scared you away with their bizarre behavior, and their, it's not bizarre anymore. It's straight out evil sometimes, right? And so that's so reluctant, and you don't want to, you know, you don't want to be in that stream of energy anymore. So you kind of, you know, you sever that bond, right? You cut it off and you say, bye-bye, I let you go. You're not there. I can't consider you a great anymore. That's so sad. But yeah, I mean, it's just the way it is. And it wasn't I'm not complaining, guys. This has always been the story, right? How many heroes have we seen fall? I think that's also part of getting, the question was, if an artist is left-leaning by nature. In the beginning of his artistic, you know, exploration, definitely he is, and then maybe he shifts and travels to other realms of you know. And so the same thing happens here. You need to, in the beginning, how can I say, be so driven by the acting, be consumed by it and nothing else. But then at the end, you have to realize that's just a job. Even if people consider it to be important, that doesn't mean that you are a great person or an important person. You served and you got much out of it. So be okay with that. Don't go into these fields. I would, you know, as much as an idealistic person, I would never go into politics. I have never voted in my life. I never would do that, even though I can assess the situation, because I get caught up by this fan thinking, by this group polarized thinking. And it infests my way of reasoning and living creatively, right? It disturbs what I usually do. And so therefore, I can't attach myself to names, because ultimately I don't know what these names are standing for, what type of agenda they're running. I can assess much of it. I can do a lot, you know, to kind of, you know, inform myself about it. And I usually do that. But in the end, it's not my job on this earth, on this planet, on this realm, to, you know, kind of judge other people and know whether they're good or not. My job is to be great at what I do and not judge others for what they do. I can constructively learn from the mishappenings, the mistakes, and also the victories and the success of others, and kind of, you know, reflect and reverse engineer some processes for my own toolbox. Definitely I do that. But in the end, that doesn't all matter. In the end, it's about me growing, improving, and becoming a better human in whatever artistic field I'm currently roaming around. So LA Film, Film LA told us that, generally speaking, unscripted television is a location-heavy format that generates significant permit volume, said Film LA Vice President of Integrated Communications, Philip Sukolski. The employment impact of reality production is lower than it's for scripted TV, and projects are not incentive eligible through the state of California. It remains an important part of LA's production economy. So even reality material is going down heavily because people are sick of celebrities a little bit. There is celebrity fatigue, definitely. There is the need to more meaningful content and better shot content because, of course, production companies, in the end, they want to save money and make money. So, of course, they're going to, and this is what, look at Warner Brothers, what they are doing. The layoffs are massive. Silicon Valley layoffs are massive. Like Tinseltown is firing a lot of people. And so they want to reduce costs, right? They're not improving the quality. They're not asking themselves what's wrong with the quality, with the stories, and how to kind of get back them on track. No. And why do we know that? That they are actively making that choice, besides, of course, the agenda-driven, political-driven, social justice-driven implementations in their movies. We know that because a market like the VFX market, for example, has no California state incentive that is substantial. And that is like, that's like heresy. Are you kidding me? By 2025, the estimate is that they will have a VFX market worldwide that is, all around $10.5 billion. There's a huge market. And in the last, I think, 5 years, Hollywood has spent $6 billion of VFX investment, outsourcing it outside of the state of California, just because there is no incentive in the state of, there is, but it's just compared to the other states, just minor. It's not compatible, right? And so they say no. So even movie productions that are based in Tinseltown are hiring VFX operators that are based outside, outsourcing the VFX market out of California. And this is an incredible, development. You have Frisco, you have the digital age happening on your doorstep. You have Meta and all these influential companies. Even Tesla is leaving California, right? You have all these companies that are on the forefront of technology, of the digital revolution. And VFX, that is a huge part of the movie making, of the entertainment, of the advertising, commercials process. And you are making sure that there are no major incentives, that there's bad conditions to work. And we've been covering this also sometimes over here, right? I mean, VFX, we are wondering, hey, why is it that VFX got worse? I mean, it should progress, right? It should get better. This is the answer. Because the VFX market is not regarded as a priority market in the state of California, according to the lawmakers and to the ones who are responsible for the tax incentives. This is a clear language that they speak. So Hollywood studios have been outsourcing almost $6 billion because it's not incentivized in the state. But hey, let's spend money for, Bucha and, sanctuary states, right? And, filmmakers have to move away, to take their talent away, to take money away. Breaking Bad has been shot in New Mexico, in Albuquerque. And it's stipulated that Breaking Bad brought to Albuquerque net, after everything, $70 million while they were shooting there. Many people stayed in Albuquerque. The economy flourished. You're bringing jobs. Avengers was shot there. Oppenheimer was shot there as well. We know that, Atlanta is growing due to its influence in the Southeast. They're making sure that they position themselves as big players down there. They're becoming like a powerhouse. Not only Stranger Things, but of course Tyler Perry and all the others. They're making, we have many productions. Yes, they are B and C productions sometimes, but they're feeding a market. They're creating employment, and definitely there seems to be a demand for it. So, but that someone like the state of California would really neglect this market here, the VFX market, and would position themselves as the the biggest player there, and say, hey, we need to give the impulses to the industry. It's not that it's not just about being cost efficient. It's not just about covering production costs. It's about having the market here, to have the best guys here in town. So whenever I need to fix something, whenever I need the best ones, whenever I want to produce something, I have them right in front of my doorstep. It's not just about, yeah, okay, so it's cheaper, so I get them from somewhere else. I mean, look at the production company, the Weta workshop and everything that Peter Jackson created in New Zealand. Why was that so effective and so creative and so beautiful? Why are we still considering Lord of the Rings one? You know, it's still like almost unsurpassed in terms of the ambience, the tricks, everything kind of is flawless. Why is that? Because they were all living together. They were all operating on a very small square footage imprint, right? Their footprint was relatively bound. They were condensed, compressed in a relatively narrow space, all working together. Of course, that creates also critical ambience sometimes, but that's great. That's the friction any production company needs, that art needs. What have we become today? Like these, you know, soy boys. Oh, I don't want friction. I don't want conflicts. I don't want any clashes. We need that in order to produce a great movie. Have you like read any book about any great movie of the past? This is what needs to happen. And so, yeah, here we have, I don't think normies can differentiate between the actor and the character that they play. Yes, I've experienced that as well, Mephisto. Patrick Stewart as Jean-Luc Picard as an example. Yeah, no, I totally get it. People still, when I'm in Germany, people identify me with my role. There is no way, even though it's, you know, the show is fairly old, but it's still in their collective consciousness. I'm still that guy, right? It's not Lorenzo, it's Robert. It's that role. And yet to the normie Jean-Luc Picard Stewart, yes, yeah, they can't differentiate. And that, you know, that's also the magic of Hollywood, or at least the magic that it had, right? That it, like, what is so magical? That you really can fall in love with these characters, that you believe them, that you go with them no matter where they go, and that you are entrenched with their stories. You want to be there, and you kind of really, you fall in love with that illusion that the movie is creating. That's beautiful. The experience of a movie theater is one of the most, you know, it's just a fantastic thing, right? That's a communal experience where you're sharing these emotions. You're watching this movie, you're eating popcorn, you're enticed, and you're somewhere else, not, you know, there at home or isolated somewhere on your phone. It's a communal experience. It's a true exchange. And yeah, that type of feeling is also gone, right? And that's too sad. It's not necessary. We can have both. You know, we can have productions that are running effectively, cost efficiently, and still produce material that the fans want, and it is well shot. There is no problem, right, in achieving that, right? It's just the will of the people, and of course the lawmakers to kind of get on board here. We've been covering this on this channel extensively. The strikes, what the pandemic caused, how pilot season has changed, and the overall market, the stories that have been told, you know, the disappearance of the comedic actor and the real comedy blockbuster. Why are these things happening all simultaneously? It's not just a coincidence. It's not just, oh, it's just happening. Oh, we don't know. That's weird. As an industry, we need to be critical with ourselves, especially when we're talking about the creative force. There's just so much that you can structure down. Otherwise, hire a computer, just run AI programs and try to kind of market that. If you want actors, if you want entertainment, if you want people that are really thriving for your movies and kind of standing in line and talking about it, making it a social event out of it, like it used to be in the 80s and still in the 90s, then you have to bring back those original stories. And the art of execution must be also brought back. If you outsource in 5 years, $6 billion worth of VFX, it's not only that you think, oh yeah, if I saved so much money, I'm such a smart production company. You place the money somewhere that is doing somewhere else, that is doing something completely different, instead of leaving it in the state and therefore making sure that it stays in the economic cycle. You just, you know, you thought short term and in a very cannibalistic way. So you're eating up your own market. instead of making sure that you know how to do it, invite Gary over, smoke a big cigar, bring in a couple of golf clubs and, a couple of drinks and beat him down. So he will incentivize film industry a little bit more, because what they have done so far is kind of leaning towards the big studios and excluding more and more indies, making it harder and harder to get grants, to get accepted, to get permits, to even ask for permits, right? Because they know that artists are messy, crazy, and a little bit confused, right? And that's just the state of thing. Instead of kind of facilitating the communication, they make it harder to enter. And then they blame us for not creating better stories. Yeah, you're excluding the stories. And then what is left out of your financial program, of course, needs to revolve around a certain topic in order to defend your choice to keep the status quo alive. You said, oh, we're doing something important. Yes, we're, pointing the finger to something that is relevant. Oh, this is something, now finally we have an educational purpose instead of just entertaining. That's not what you should be doing. I mean, if it is somehow educational, then yes, I'm good for it. But that's not the purpose of entertainment. It's to educate us maybe spiritually, or about moral dilemmas, or kind of giving us the chance to choose what our direction would be, and let us think about what is right and what is wrong, instead of giving us the answer right away, right in front of the movie, and then delivering and catering the movie afterwards. It is just a sloppy mess of botched elements that don't really work together in an harmonious fashion, because this is not entertainment, right? This is like retroactively justifying the investment by, stating something that is, deemed by the political correct elite class an adequate issue that should be covered now when we're shooting movies, instead of telling a fucking great story. You get the point, right? This is why people are annoyed, and they have that theater fatigue. They don't believe in the communal vibe anymore, so they stay out of the theater, because right now everything is politicized, right? So that guy has a different opinion. He's not laughing about that joke, because everything is polarized in a controversial fashion in order to create these subsystems of, eternal litigations. No, that is right. No, that is right. We have become like these pickers instead of these enjoyers. Sorry for that little rant. But I think it is necessary to address the context, because yes, all that stuff is true. What I've doodled here, this drawing represents the current state, yeah. But of course, all this is held together by the fabric of the story. If all these people decide to leave California to tell a story somewhere else, there's a reason for it. No, I'm not from California, and so I couldn't care less. I could say, oh, I shoot my story somewhere else. I don't care. Yeah, I mean, fine, sure, you can do that. And as much as I hate much of what is coming, out recently out of Hollywood, because it's of course like it has a dark imprint to it. So I can't really like. It's not that I hate it, because I'm not really afraid of it. It's just that I don't want to be identified with it, right? I want to stay out of that energy cluster, and so that's why I also decided to move to Miami. As much as I love, being there in LA and being caught by the film industry vibe and being in Studio City and in Los Feliz and being around these actors, I love that. It's a cool feeling, but the system itself is a bit corrupted, and it has to clean, it has to detoxify, it has to wash out these fungus, right? And we know exactly what I'm talking about. And once it is out, and once the people are out, maybe we can restart slowly building up stories and putting people in that are really dedicated to those stories. I'm not saying they shouldn't be controversial. They shouldn't be clean and tidy and neat. They should be the people who, like in the 70s, wanted to tell the stories, in the 80s, right? Driven, crazy, fanatic, quality-obsessed storytellers. That's all. Let them produce their fucking vision. Let them envision something new. Let them do it. And then just follow it. It's show business. It's not tell business. It's not indoctrinate business, right? It's show. Not point, blame, and educate. Show. And then let others judge. Don't tell me before how I should feel afterwards. That's not how entertainment works. Mephisto, is this just between us today? Hey guys, join the conversation over here. If you are like, on SNH, I mean, we've experienced it, right? When like, let's discuss. If you have another take, if you have another opinion, let me know what you think of all this, or what your experience so far is if you're an actor. And like I said, also for the young guns that are thinking about, should I move right now to LA? Is it necessary like it was still, I guess, 15 years ago? Probably not. I mean, yes, you should have some sort of a Polaris, right? And that's why I also say, like, it is also sad. I mean, even though I'm not from California, and I can run my operations from pretty much every state and everywhere in the world, but still, I think it is good to have a center of gravity, right? To have like a heart to any type of culture. To have that is important, like a pumping center that really kind of gives the impulses. So on one hand, I believe this is like a purgatory. This is like the Divine Comedy of Dante Alighieri. We have to go through the stages of, purging ourselves, walking through the purgatory, cleansing, kind of reflecting on our past choices, and kind of revitalizing, reappropriating the great stories, and revolutionizing the manuscripts, and coming back with new material in a couple of years, and then kind of helping, like it always is, right? I think that's a healthy, inevitable, and beautiful process. But still, as someone who kind of, and still, when I'm watching it happening, also because of the people that I know that are living in this town, and some of them are having or facing, really, really tough times right now, because even reality is down. Everything is down. Everything is down. Production days are, kind of diminishing, are melting. So people right now, they're struggling, moving out. It's just too expensive, too complicated, too, right? And that's sad, because by that you liquefy the product. Sure, you will have an industry in Georgia. Great, yeah, sure. You will have someday, somehow, maybe an industry also in South Florida. Great. You have an industry in Texas. Great. Yeah, you have all these clusters, but now they're very, it's all over the place now. To kind of get them, into a concentration is way more difficult. And so you have all these spread out talents. And if they can fortify themselves and really create a legacy for the years to come in their respective places, then, we all have won long term. But if that fails to happen, and we're going to analyze that on the channel as well, like, is Atlanta really an alternative? Is really Atlanta, putting its money into the Georgia film industry? Is the money staying there, or is Atlanta another, mailbox type of operation? I'm not accusing anything. It's just the question that I'm going to ask here is, who's profiting? If we are profiting as a culture, then I'm all good. I'm all in for it, and let the oscillation come. But if it's again just a shadow move, a smart way of, occupying grants, getting, financial help, and just producing something for the sake of putting out content, but not really taking care of the legacy and constructing long-term, foundations. And I've seen this, right? My experience as an actor is, kind of regarding that is a reoccurring thing. So I guess everything has a positive and a negative aspect to it. Respectfully, Coach, Mephisto says, you are preaching to a choir. Many of us are center of morality, etc. But you also have a large group of people who are well and truly plugged in the matrix. Yes, yeah. Thank you, man. But that's true. YouTube containing British police. This meth X is a problem. Could you pop around an Ave word? Ave X. Hail X. We want to grow as creators. We want to make money. And we also want to have a life that is, has like an acceptable quality level. And right now, all these things are difficult to find. I'm not a doomsday prophet. There are definitely still great filmmakers in LA, great production companies, and little very interesting clusters of creativity and pockets of entertainment that are there for a genuine reason and are doing their very best work to give us something spectacular, right? There's no doubt about it. I don't want to make this also too political by saying, yeah, California is basically kicking out Hollywood. they're not really kicking out Hollywood. They're making sure that it is more difficult. In my opinion, this is also what the numbers are telling us, and also, you know, how I interpret certain regulations from the incentive program is less indie. It's less independent. It's less detached from the status quo, right? You're whether attached to certain, you know, circles or not. And so otherwise it's getting increasingly difficult. It's become increasingly difficult to book, you know, to get those grants and produce your movies. So you're not really kicking out Hollywood. You're making it difficult for the, you know, for the young guns for the young shoots to come, you know, through the fertile soil to really impact your industry and your culture. You're making sure to be more selective and to accept less and less, you know, kind of, you know, side entrances. And that's the diversity you should actually look out for, in my opinion. This is actually the stuff that you should embrace, because that little, you know, so-called diverse minority of creative thinkers and visionaries and artists, they will, you know, kind of sneeze out their new culture into the system. And that is a healthy sprungus that you want to spread, because that over time will influence more and more filmmakers, more and more productions, and will give, you know, birth to, you know, a new style, a new way of telling your stories, you know, a new narrative, a new signature. And this is the stuff that you want to happen. Like it happened in the 20s and 30s, like it happened in the 60s and 70s, then again in the 90s, right? You want all these funguses to make sure that these people get access, and then have the possibility also to kind of, you know, cross-pollinating their, you know, their fields of expertise, whether that's makeup department, costume department, whether that's, you know, principal photography or whatever, right? Not all of that will be automatically successful. Most of the movies that are considered legendary and iconic movies and all that now, in their time when they were released, Stanley Kubrick, Sergio Leone, you name it, right, weren't that successful at the box office. But still, they inspired people. They gave away a train of thought, like they kind of kicked off, right, a way of looking at something. And that ultimately is way more valuable than all the box office, because that will create way more revenue. What is it with these producers and the studio networks that they don't seem to understand this very basic, it's a simple principle. There's nothing like extraordinary, revolutionary about this thought, right? You need to have that substrata of creative minds that are always cross-pollinating all the creative departments of your industry to be around you. They are difficult to handle. They're sometimes bizarre people that don't smell well under their armpits. They are strange in their behaviors. They're sometimes erratic, sometimes stubborn, difficult, all that. Yes, so fucking what? You're making millions of dollars. Everyone is difficult at a certain point, whether it's in the corporate world or the artistic world. So the studio networks are reasoning that they want a facilitated process of movie making that should still make money, instead of embracing the even difficult, you know, process of hiring these controversial, you know, artistic figures and dealing with them appropriately. No, they say, no, we streamline our production because we are too lazy to deal with these difficult directors. Yes, we are making less money, but otherwise with the merchandise, we compensate our earnings. Yes, but we are not delivering the magic to the audience anymore. And therefore you are long-term ruining the very industry that you hope to live out for, you know, for many years to come. But I guess that's not important to them, because then they will jump to the next industry that they will milk, like, you know, just the next one, and that because they are acting and thinking parasitical. I'm just leading crowds. That was so funny. I'm sorry. Most of what I say goes over everyone's head. Yeah, man, happens, man. It's all good. Sometimes we live a solitary life of quiet desperation. I could put that with Lawrence Fishburne saying it. I personally have not watched The Matrix for quite a fair number of years, but the quotes will stay with me. That's an incredible movie. Hey, Lizard. What's up, my man? Good seeing you. Yeah. It wasn't even the Matrix movie. It was just, it was a deconstruction, I guess. I think there's just one Matrix movie, like one real Matrix movie. and we all know like why it is so special, because it feels like a documentary, and the others were kind of, I think, like retroactively trying to kind of gloss over what they initially said in order to not, steer too much wind up, or it's I feel like they tried to apologize to the system that they shot the first Matrix with the other Matrix movies in order to stay alive. But then they told him, but still we want a sacrifice from you. Turn your sex into something else. Yes, I loved Animatrix. I truly love. I thought that was like a worthy continuation. I would have loved that also at the movies. Like the second part for me could have easily been like Animatrix, like a super large Animatrix episode, like way better than this over pumped, over hyped, over edited fighting extravaganza paranoid flick that the Matrix 2 was. It was just crazy and messy and just too loud. I think they just fell for the first rule that you always should obey when you're shooting a sequel, which you shouldn't do, right? Don't shoot a sequel. But if you shoot a sequel, don't fall for the principle of more is better, because all of a sudden they just want more of that first principle that usually in all great trilogies, right? You see that principle being used only very scarcely, right? Just like think of Star Wars, think of Matrix, Indiana Jones. They're using them, the elements, the fantastic elements are used scarcely. They know how, they have a certain rhythm, a certain taste, a certain intention, and they really activate, they trigger the reaction, right? The reaction at the right time. And then usually in trilogies that are badly made, with the sequel, what they do is they use these fantastic elements, like John Wick, for example. It's just, now it's too much. It has lost all its realistic, appeal, right? It had somehow still like, even, the third one, it started going overboard there, but still the third one was somehow kind of respecting the fields of reality. Now it's just overboard. It's just too much, right? And so that's the problem. If it's too much, you kind of get sick of it because it's inflationary. Yeah, absolutely. That was crazy. Should have watched it again. Oh, I started, man. I wanted to write you on X. I started, and I'm really enjoying the ride so far. So I'm not sure if we can maybe do it next Thursday. Yeah, maybe next Thursday we talk about that piece of music. I like that. Maybe get also White's Metal here. Maybe do it alone. Let's see. Yeah. I started. Very cool stuff. We will definitely discuss it. I'm not sure it's gonna be a major topic, but definitely I wanna integrate it. Thanks, man. Again. Yeah, it's not looking good. It's not looking good for Hollywood right now, for filmmakers in Hollywood. Like I said, Mark Wahlberg, Jim Carrey, Sylvester Stallone, so many actors, so many celebrities are moving out, right? They're sick of Hollywood. They're sick of, the new house tax. They're sick of also maybe the Tinseltown, ambience. It's not what it used to be. They're sick of LA. There are many things, but ultimately I think it's their wallet they're mostly concerned with. And I'm not saying this like judgmentally, of course. I mean, that's important for them, and they don't want to lose all this money on an unnecessary, what they deem unnecessary taxes. So we have Nevada being a big future market. Sony Pictures is really building up something there, and already like the integration of entertainment industry that is present in Vegas. You have the Sphere. I think there will be enormous possibilities to have like an own little entertainment market in Nevada, because it's set up perfectly, has a good tax credit, and it's interesting what they are building up there. It has its unique appeal in its own style. It attracts a lot of celebrities. State taxes are really cool there. It's a good environment. It's way safer, and yeah, and in itself, it's a very successful, very rich city, right? Has its problems, its cons. Right now, it's going through a difficult phase, but still, it's still be regarded as a safer bet than California. So that tells everything. Like I said, New Jersey is growing. this is where Hollywood actually came from. Addison was running the New Jersey film market, and then, the taxes and also, his fees that were going through the roof forced filmmakers in Jersey to move to California back in the 1920s. That's funny. And now Jersey is coming back and stealing, filmmakers and shooting days from Hollywood. So that's a crazy development right there. New Mexico is definitely going to be on the map also in the future years, as well as, Texas, South Florida, and Atlanta. So definitely the South of the United States right now is profiting a lot from the California decline, from the fact that filmmakers are fleeing Tinseltown and that they are looking for, for other possibilities to realize the projects that are also less, politically driven, but they have more creative freedom. That was one of the things that Mark Wahlberg also, talked about the most, and it was he was addressing majorly, like that there was almost the impossibility to have like a great dialogue with the studio and having interference and production notes and all sorts of assistants, swarming around you all over the place and making it more and more difficult to see clearly, to gain focus, and to lead a serene and prosperous movie production, right? Yeah, I like Jim Carrey. I like him a lot. I mean, it definitely was an inspiration for me. And yeah, he's far out there. I'm not sure what kind of game he's running. Sometimes I feel like, yeah, I can resonate with a couple of things that he's saying. Sometimes I feel like, is he playing an agent here for certain topics? I don't know if he's associated with the usual Hollywood clubs. I definitely think so. So therefore, definitely like, I lost a little bit of respect for all these actors, I have to say. Like, in the last years, they committed a lot of, in my opinion, like moral crimes, like participating in certain features, saying certain politically things, inflamming discourses that lost all sorts of decency and humanity and humbleness. And so I kind of, I distanced myself a little bit, like internally from all these actors. And still, if they would hire me for a movie, that wouldn't mean that I wouldn't show up, right? That doesn't mean that I wouldn't show up. I still would be there trying to give my very best and illuminating the scene, the movie, the project, and giving my perspective on it. In the end, I love movie making also because of that. I shot many episodes of my series or many other features, and with people that I don't personally would have like some sort of as an acquaintance in my life, or I would like frequently like, go out with or entertain like a friend type of relationship with. But that doesn't matter. We all come together, we create something, then we all go for our ways. And some of these people you will remember, some of them no. And that's the beauty of filmmaking. You don't have to be all on one side of the riverbank in order to be on the side of the movie, right? If that makes sense. Yeah, I think Jim Carrey has some trauma. Lizard says, not excusing anything he has done. It seems like he has tried to be honest in YouTube videos. I've seen him. Yeah, me too. I do feel like that he's really trying, but maybe he's trying too hard. I don't know if it's real in a way, right? It feels a bit detached, but in the other, he's saying things like, for example, he was on, what was it, when he did the pyramid Moloch tongue out thing. Yeah, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel, right? He kind of allegedly exposed, certain shadow groups with, these secret symbols that he showed there, his hand symbols and all that. And still he runs around in these parties that, he still is the court jester for them. So yeah, I mean, if that is your mental statute, okay, fine. Why not? Yeah, you expose them at the same time. You still frequently are around them and visit their parties and attend their events, and you're still kind of swarming around them. So you're still serving the status quo, even though you claim you know who is good or bad, right, or evil. So I'm not quite sure what kind of game he's playing. And again, I really don't bother too much. It's like I observe this, it's funny. I mean, when I watch The Mask or Ace Ventura, even The Cable Guy, I see great acting, right? I see an incredible actor. Truman Show, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I mean, I see true acting there, and I'm grateful for what he did in these movies. His personal views, not so much, right? I can still watch Star Wars and see Mark Hamill because the difference, in his age is so much that I perceive the young Luke Skywalker as not being Mark Hamill. That's just Luke Skywalker, right? I don't necessarily identify them as being the same person, so that's great. I still can enjoy Star Wars. Hello together. Hello, Lorenzo. Have a nice day. Greets from Merce. Greets back. Yeah, I mean, can a narcissist also be a non-malevolent? No, I don't think so. A true narcissist? No. He, the very idea of his existence in a way is malevolent to others. That's unfortunately what the narcissist is, right? Whether you're the manipulator, the narcissist, or the psychopath, that's the dark trinity, the unholy trinity of your shadow aspect, according to Jung and co. Also, Jordan Peterson talks about this. And a narcissist, there is no way that this behavior, even if it's self-justified, is not malevolent or can't be interpreted as malevolent, because that's unfortunately the very essence, right, of his living, of his identification with life. That's not fair. Who's censoring comments over here? Stop that, YouTube, please. Give those people free speech. Stop that, people, please. Give those people free speech. Stop that, YouTube, please. Give those people free speech. Yeah, stop that, YouTube, please. Give that people free speech. Give that people free speech. Hashtag free speech right now in the comments. Free speech. I said the real question is, as Charlie Nuclear, if Carrie eats kids, yeah, who knows? Pizzagate is a scary thing. That's why they're covering it up. I mean, they're still covering it up, basically. All the stuff that we're seeing now, it feels like still a cover-up for Pizzagate. No, it's still a cover-up for JFK. It's really sad. I mean, it's really sad. It's funny because it's sad. Yeah. Where is this industry going? In these states, it will definitely flourish there. There are many, many new productions coming up on the East Coast. We also have this peculiar position, this peculiar city called Miami. So Miami has become over, I would say, the last 60, 70 years, right? A hub, a gateway, a portal to South America. And the interesting thing is, compared to the rest of the country, right? The Latin American, immigrants that are coming to this place, whether they're Cubans, right? Initially, of course, a lot of Cubans, Haitians, some Mexicans, Guatemala, El Salvador, Venezuela, a lot of immigrants from Venezuela. All these people coming in here, they are business savvy. If you look into California and to New York, the immigrants, the Latin community that is there, I don't have like the numbers and everything. Of course, I'm not saying that all the workers from a Latin background in California and New York are all like low employment workers or low quality workers. But I feel over here in Miami, especially in South Florida, the quality of the people that are coming in, they are all opening businesses up here. They are here now for 3, 4, 5 generations in Wynwood. They're not new workers that are doing just low profile work. They have already stabilized. They already created industries. They already are rooted, right, with the industrial soil here in Miami. So the Latin community here over the last 60 years has created an industry, a real industry. And so this gateway to Latin America, and of course LATAM, right? We talked about this, right? The unstoppable rise of LATAM entertainment. that has created a different type of entertainment industry, and a lot of even European people coming over to Miami that are speaking Spanish or just learning Spanish, because they know if they move to Miami, they can still work in the American film and commercial market and maybe music market, but definitely are heading also towards the South. And so Miami is some sort of like a career springboard for all these different South American, Latin America creative ventures, which is truly like interesting. It's a very peculiar position, a very interesting market that will just grow in the future, right? With DJ Khaled and Pitbull and all the Bad Bunnies, Dead Bunnies, Rabbit Bunnies, and all the other bunnies that are present here in Miami. They're already creating Lopez, Mark Anthony, you name it, right? And they're creating a huge industry for themselves as well. And, the gate to South America is an important gate. It's almost 800 million, potential customers, consumers, listeners, and fans that want to catch up with time. And I feel like the North American market being a very saturated market, it's moving towards the South. More stars are coming, more Latino people are living in the States. Hispanic communities are growing here. So the South American market is also going to be a huge market. And, through that, gateway of Miami and South Florida, definitely there's going to be a big evolution, a big development taking place, and all the actors and creative people that are fascinated by this market want to take advantage of that are moving to South Florida. A lot of people that left California, from 2021 to 2022, a lot of these 817,000 people in total, they came to South Florida, and they're bringing their woke ideology with them, and that is just a disaster. But don't worry, after 2 weeks we've cleared everything out. No masks, no vaccines, beaches, a lot of alcohol, sunlight, vitamin C, to realize the world is a cool, relaxed place if you get the demons out of the head, baby, right? And so enjoy life over here in Miami as well. Enjoy life all over the States. There is definitely work coming. Hollywood is losing also a little bit of that influence in terms of its prime position, and these markets will become more and more rebellious. They will fight more and more for those great pros that are popping up. More VFX artists are settling in other areas, and I'm just looking forward. This type of competition, I think, is also coming at an adequate moment in time, and it's definitely also, I think, a great challenge for Hollywood itself, but it's also like a healthy development for the industry in itself, because through more competition, people will have to finally realize, okay, we can't rely just on one horse and just on one cow. We have to create more farmland, more outsources, more positions from which we can create revenue. And so fight for better quality that just will increase the entertainment, or at least hopefully that's the ideal projection that I have in my mind, how that can, potentially also develop, and an increase of quality, of more independent, disconnected stories that are more reflecting really the storytellers and not some agendas from a centralized venture, right? Yeah, try telling to that like Mercante. Yeah, she, when her money, when the drain is going to be closed, it's going to be closed. And then eventually also she has to realize that she has to create something. I mean, if she has her market, if people watching her, let her talk, to rant, whatever she wants to talk. But I feel like putting people like this into a position of responsibility, and as if these people should be our guiding lights, that is absolutely crazy. It's pretty awesome. The world is a super cool place. I love this time period. Me too. It's pretty fantastic. It's pretty awesome. And I thank you so much, guys, for stopping by today. We, again, like we're always doing on Thursday, right? Not always, but very often doing. We took a look at Hollywood and its biggest problems that it's facing right now, kind of breaking down the crisis, the slowdown that it is occurring, the shooting days that are diminishing, the revenue that is less and less, and overall fewer and fewer people watching, participating, going to movie theaters that are more and more closing, more and more layoffs. So definitely we're covering that just to show you where the stream is going, where you should position, and to understand that in the end, great stories are always that's what we're looking for. And if you decapitate the very essence of the story, the body that is left is soulless. So nobody's in that for that. And I wish you just to kind of realize that and define that for yourself, what your great story is. And if you haven't found that, and you're still looking for your creative Polaris, if you still want to find your artistic light, you reappropriate, your spectrum, your creative spectrum, and really getting tools into your toolbox and that are powerful, where you feel like you can freely express and have control over your operations, and at the same time carrying a thought that is inspirational, like what we discussed today, like having a belief for what you do and setting up an imaginary life that is compelling and truthful and authentic. If you're looking for that type of experience, then come over to the COACHMC studio. It's readytoperform.com. Send me a direct message if you want your material to be audited, or if you want to work on a monologue, if you have a self-tape audition that you want to kind of check out, that you want to look over with me. If you want an evaluation, like a professional artistic evaluation of what I see there and what I believe, like a vid IQ, but let's say an acting IQ and analysis, right, with my magnifying glasses, all that, can be done. I'm definitely looking forward to hear your story, to kind of, encounter this new challenge. For public speakers, we have a very effective course. We have a script analysis course that is also brand new, 5 sessions with me to really understand my technique, how I break down characters, how I create a character map, a character timeline, how I can build up my character's narration arch for the movie, for the scene, for the audition. That's something that you will use for the rest of your life as an actor. Every time you get to audition, like to know exactly, hey, what are the requirements here to create a very compelling figure? This is a course that is also highly, recommendable for the young guns, but maybe also for the seasoned actors that want to insert something new or kind of brush off or dust off their toolbox a little bit. I just had a beautiful self-tape recording a couple of days earlier to this, live stream today. And it was so amazing to see an actress that was kind of, coming back to the business after an 8-year-long break because of family and kids issues and stuff, and kind of shooting a new audition with her. And she got picked the next day. That was just an amazing experience to see her kind of blossom up and kind of regaining focus and kind of resharpen her tools. If you are that type of person, that type of performer, definitely also hit us up on readytoperform.com. And yeah, follow us on Telegram. I know this is not super popular over here, but if you are from the South Florida area, from the Miami area, and you want to kind of gain connection, if you want to get connected to the film industry, to the acting community, if you want to network, definitely we have the best events, the best networking events, all the castings that are relevant, all the casting platforms, all the Facebook communities that are relevant for actors, for performers, creators on our Telegram chat. It's a beautiful place where you find also a lot of creative minds like myself and others kind of chatting with each other. So if they want the best news in South Florida and also in the Atlanta region to kind of, for the best castings and the networking events and the stuff that is relevant besides actually shooting something, definitely come over to my Telegram channel. Follow me on Instagram where it's the COACHMC. Subscribe to the channel, guys. Subscribe. Let's make this, I don't know, like an even bigger adventure, right? So more and more people can, take advantage of this. So subscribe, spread the news. It's a little click. It goes such a long way to support us in our endeavors. It just shows us your appreciation and shows the algorithm what you cherish the most. So definitely that's an important step, even if it's just a small little action. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like. Share this content with the ones that you deem, your loved ones that you deem to, they have to see this, right? And just another thing, next open class is on Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be about blockchain and monetization for artists, part 2 with the Phantom NFT, Nobody You Know. And after that, every open class is going to be on 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're trying to make this one time slot. So this was our last time that we kind of started at 3 p.m. Eastern. From next week on, it's going to be 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time throughout the week. We're going to look into the future on Monday, look into the past with 3 sages and a time machine, and look at the present state of affair on Thursdays. And of course, on Saturday, I'm part of the Tangent King podcast at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard. and of the Saturday Night Hypnosis panel with controversial takes and inflammatory speeches and wild speculations, like always. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Hypnotics YouTube channel. I thank everybody so much for coming out today. That was an awesome session. I think we covered a very important topic, and we also had some nice discussions here. Charlie, thank you so much. Thank you, Raven Wolf. Thank you, Maria PATANÈ, Call Himself. Thank you to Vinzinger, D-Peak, to Lizard, of course, to the Great Lizard, to Mephisto. Great conversation. Thank you so much for coming out. It's been a pleasure, guys. It's been a true pleasure. And just make sure to, you know, kind of follow this channel to be part of our creative community. This was Open Class Doodles, episode 49. I can't believe it. Next time we're already... Hey, Rosita is here. God bless the complainers, says Mephisto. They can change the course of history. Absolutely, hopefully, right? The complainers are sometimes the improvers as well. And yeah, this is 49. Episode 49 is in the books. Next time, it's gonna be a 100 episodes, like 50 episodes on Monday. I can't believe it. Beautiful anniversary. Thank you so much for making this happen. Hopefully, we're gonna hit 100 very soon with you guys. See you next time with the next video. Now, you're ready to perform.